Good afternoon, everybody. You are listening to KHTS AM 1220 FM 98.1, the Financial Hour with Fred Arnold and David Cantrell. We're going to talk a little bit about interest rates because they are still unbelievable. And I mean, if anybody thinks they're not unbelievable, go ahead and Google 30-year interest rates over the last 30 years and see what that chart shows you. But Fred, one thing at American Family Funding, we're very good at getting things done for people a lot of times when it can be a little difficult, where, it's not just something you can check all of the boxes on. I know you had one just recently where I think that they needed to, they weren't quite there on their own, so they had to bring somebody else in, right?
Yeah. Can you imagine being told by a loan officer that you have to call and get a cosigner and it happens to be your son-in-law?
Wow.
I mean, I remember I got a call from a client recently, lives in LA, and needed a cosigner from his son-in-law. And his son-in-law had referred me because they had just purchased a new home and out in Santa Clarita, beautiful home. And I'd known this individual for a long, long time. And the clients were retired. Long careers, and age doesn't matter, but sometimes I think age does matter because I wonder how other loan officers look at people's income, because I couldn't figure it out. It was a good financial institution, and he went to them, and they said, "We can't help you." And he's, "Oh, what about I've been paying my bills on time for," and he got a little bit of credit card debt. It wasn't much, like 10 grand.
Yeah, that was
nothing.
It. Yeah, that's
wanted to clean that up, had a medical bill, so it drove his credit score lower, and the medical bill was supposed to be paid by his insurance company.
Okay.
So he's got a little bit lower credit score than normal, $10,000 in credit, and the person at that other financial institution on his credit said, "I wouldn't lend you the money out of my own pocket."
Wow.
That's what they said to this person.
Yeah, who does that? What kind of person does that?
What were they thinking? So he calls me. I talk to him. First of all, the son-in-law says, "Hey, I'm happy to do it, but can you do it without him co-signing? Because he's very proud. He doesn't want me to co-sign for him." So we're able to get him pre-qualified and close in 45 days. And it takes a little bit longer now, 45 days. All someone had to do was look at it from a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that hard of a transaction. It was more of, okay, you got a little bit of debt, explaining the debt, explaining the situation, and we ended up getting them financed, within a couple of weeks. And how did we do it? We paid off a few debts through the cash out refinance. Right. We explained why the credit score wasn't very high, because they had a medical that had nothing to do with them, had one of these lab visits or something where they get hit with it. And by the way, they say that medical's you don't have to pay off a medical bill when refinancing. Maybe so, but it drives your credit score down.
Right, exactly.
And score matters.
Right.
And so we were able to get that done, and he sent me a letter just being thankful. And I could tell he almost had a emotion within the email that he sent to me, because he's a very prideful man, and he didn't want to ask his son-in-law of 30 years to help them out. So they also they have an avocado tree. Oh, well, there you go. That's about 40 years old. And let me tell you, these avocados are the most amazing.
I got to tell you.
So I almost had to write in the contract, once a month,
avocado's got to come our way. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
But he did bring me a little avocado tree.
Okay.
And he goes, "It'll produce avocados in about 10 years.
Okay, so you got that to look forward to. So that's something. I mean, I'm hearing stories like that, and the thing that I find is interesting. A lot of people will tell me, "I can't refinance now because I got to pay off my debt." And what I try and explain to them, I'm like, no. That's why you refinance, to pay off your debt. People think I have so much debt, I'm not going to be able to refinance, and that's just not the case at all. I mean, it's a lot of times paying off that credit card or that student loan gets you to where the refinance works. Yeah. So don't let that be a reason why you don't call. The other thing also is, I've helped a couple people recently that have interest rates that are like 4.375 or 4.5.
I had 5.25.
Yeah, and it's like I think what happens is a lot of people, they just they know that's their payment, and they just get used to paying it, and they don't mind, and they don't think about it. But if I could tell you guys, everybody out there, at least once a year, look at your mortgage statement and see what interest rate you're paying, because a lot of times you'd be surprised it's probably a lot higher than you think, because some people don't even know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, you're at 4.5. We can drop your rate a lot if you just have a quick conversation.
I'm going to give a shout out to the next door neighbor here, Arif Halabi, Total Financial Solutions. Arif, constantly saying, bring in your mortgage statement.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can free up some cash flow so you can retire, so you have more money. And he's been great with that. And many financial planners, the smart ones, and CPAs and those in the financial world, wow, that's easy money. It's just why pay the financial institution when you can pay yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also finding that rate might only drop 0.5%. Talked to a client today. Rates dropping only 0.5%, but the payment's dropping $400 because they're re-amortizing it.
Right.
Now, most people will say, why would I want to do that? I only have 20 years left.
Right.
Well, these people aren't going to pay it off in 20 years. They might not be here in 20 years.
Right.
So their number one concern was cash flow. So you got to decide break-even point, dropping the interest rate, or cash flow.
Right, and a lot of times when you have that extra money, right, that when you're re-amortizing that, and now your payment goes down by $400, we've talked about this before. Take that $400 and put it in a mutual fund somewhere. Yeah. You know, your return on investment is going to be great over the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. I want to share one more story real quickly, and I had a client recently call me. I met with her last Saturday via the phone, and the craziest thing with her was she hadn't bought in a house her whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm 50 years old, never bought a house, great job. As long as I don't mention the name, I guess I could give the details. Made $100,000, $120,000, had plenty of money down payment, was a little bit worried about spending her down payment, so we talked about her retirement, $500,000 in retirement. So I said, why don't you just borrow $50,000 from your retirement? Borrow. You don't have to liquidate it, even though now there are some rules where you can liquidate it, right? Borrow $50,000 from your 401k. You're paying yourself back anyway, right? Because she was going to re-sign a lease at $2,800 a month.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, for rent in Culver City.
That's crazy.
Culver City, $2,800 a month. So I go, why don't we take it now? In Culver City, it's about $550,000 for a starter condo. Right. But she can buy a place, and the payment was like $2,900 a month. Right. Principal, interest, tax, insurance, everything. You name it, all of it, right? Right. And that's all it was. And so I said, and it made so much sense. And of that $2,900 a month in payment, like $700, $800, 40% of her payment was going to pay down principal. Yeah, that's great. Plus you got the tax benefit. Yep. Plus you have, if it goes up in 5% a year, you're making $25,000 per year in equity. So, we talk about these things. If you ever have any questions, reach out to us. Dave, your number? My number is 661-505-4368. Email is david@affloans.com. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me, Fred@FredArnold.com, Fred@FredArnold.com, and 818-612-5626. That's my cell number. Yep. I started out in the valley, so that's why I got an 818 number. Don't hold it against me, okay? But I'm out here. I'm a Santa Claridian through and through. Well, Dave, do you know who we have on next? I certainly do. So we have to make sure that we get our we act correctly, because it's going to be the soon-to-be mayor. Soon-to-be mayor. He's coming on next segment. And Mayor Pro Tem Bill Miranda. So we're going to jump to a quick break, and we'll be right back. AM 1220, FM 98.1, KHTS.